I'm encouraged by the fact that it broke 2.4 and it went to 2.8, but I want to see how far it can go. I don't really want to buy, a weekend play midday and then sell midday. When a play does better than I think, especially with a small dollar position, I want to give it time. So I gave it time, and then I was actually even more pleasantly surprised that I got a second chance to add on the dip here at 2 cents. What's up, Tim Sykes here. Want to go over this play on FAGI. Lots of lessons. The best lessons that I teach are the most counterintuitive. And this is why I got into teaching, because, many traders would benefit by just thinking a little differently. Successful trading is not just about knowing your charts or your setups or, key levels. It's really understanding the psychology behind every successful trade and the process behind successful trading as a whole. And it's not what you think exactly. This is why for me, teaching trading is endlessly fascinating, because I want you making the stock market work for you. I'm not here to try to get you to trade more. I think that a lot of you would be better served by trading less and focused on quality setups. And when you're not trading, you can go out and live, you can go out and travel, you can study more, you can work out, you can spend more time with friends and family. This is why I love trading. It's not just about money. Once you master it, your whole life can truly be enhanced. And I'm very excited to help you. Let's start with so much to go over. I guess let's start with this. So it all comes from StocksToTrade Breaking. I wasn't having that good of a trading week. I've been in Asia. I'm a little jet lagged, celebrating my newest millionaire student, Bryce. Every time someone crosses over $1 million, I like to celebrate with them. And this just so happened that Bryce is going to come to, Japan for the first time. And we've had a crazy week. But even though we're celebrating, even though we're traveling, even though we're on the opposite side of the world, I'm really happy that there was a solid play. I'm not looking to play anything aggressively, but if a solid play comes up, remember, one of my top lessons is that I'm a retired trader. I'm going to come out of retirement only when there's a play that's so good I would feel guilty missing it. And I know that's a mouthful, being like, shut up, Tim, just trade. No. If you look to trade too often, if you want trading to happen, if you want to bet big, if you want the adrenaline rush, you usually enter into the wrong trades, in subpar trades, and you actually, kind of sabotage yourself. So you really have to watch out for the addiction and really the tendency to overtrade. This is also why I love traveling, because, I get to go out and live. I love traveling. I think more of you should go out and travel more. Obviously, I know it's expensive these days, so study more, get inspired to actually travel, and then, use that inspiration to really make enough money to be able to travel. It's all interconnected. Anyways, FAGI. The news came out from StocksToTrade Breaking News. Every single day you should be using StocksToTrade Breaking News. I'll post a link underneath this video. Do me a favor and just leave a comment and say, I promise to use StocksToTrade Breaking News. It's crazy how many times I have to repeat myself. Some people are like, no, I'm not even trading. It doesn't even matter if you're trading. It doesn't matter if you have a big account, small account, if you're paper trading, if you're just learning. You want to see this breaking news immediately, because then you can start to see which catalysts matter, how these catalysts impact these stocks. And then if you ever miss one of these catalysts, guess what? In this trading environment that's very friendly to speculative traders, there's always going to be another opportunity, whether it's an hour later, a day later, 3 days later. In FAGI had this merger filing that came out, and it's been spiking for a few days. Like, this is a 3-day chart, and you can see here, let's just look at multiple time frames. It's doing nothing, like most penny stocks. I'm not interested when it's doing nothing. Now everyone's all excited about this merger. They announce it, they have an SEC filing. This is what I love about OTCs. It's very simple. It's one catalyst that can create all of this spiking. And then if you understand how to play the catalyst, you can trade it. First big green day, guess what? Like, I was buying it, but at the same time, like, I'm not so aggressive in thinking like, wait a minute, this is really going to keep running, because we've been seeing a lot of big one-day spikers that fail on day two. Or I didn't even buy FAGI. I bought, what was the play that day? CLNV was the big spiker. And this is very similar too. CLNV hasn't been doing much. Then they start coming out with some news, some filings, some promo, and it finished strong here. And I was kind of pissed that I missed it. Then it actually, this looks like a morning spike here on CLNV, but it's actually a gap down in a morning panic. So it closed here at 11-ish, opened at 10.5, quickly dropped to 9.5 before spiking to the 12s. And this was a nice little, dip buy and spike. It did it again on Thursday, dip buy and spike. So when you see these kinds of patterns, like I love morning panic dip buys and spikes, FAGI did something very similar here. You can't, again, it doesn't really look like much, but when it fails on day one, into day two, there's a little morning panic and a little spike. And I took this, I made nearly $1,000. That was nothing on, Thursday. It was just a little winner. Friday was infinitely better. This is when the news came out, with the filing, at least. The news comes out in like different ways. Like sometimes promoters announce it, sometimes there's a press release. When you have an SEC filing, in terms of mergers, this is the most important, because now it's like, oh, this is legal. This is something serious. We get little press releases about prospective mergers all the time. Companies can back out pretty easily. But when there's an SEC filing, when it gets all legal, it's a little different. And this is what came out on Friday morning. And again, StocksToTrade Breaking News alerted it. You can see here, it immediately spiked when the news came out. Mind you, like, it's not really doing much here. Well, you can't even see. I got to move this box over. You can see here that, StocksToTrade Breaking News alerted it, but this is when the filing came out. And this is when it really spiked quite nicely. And you can see here, StocksToTrade has a nice chart where you can see it really went up all day. This is what really matters, okay? I'm really excited to see a stock spike in reaction to an SEC filing. Sometimes like SEC filings come and go, no one really cares. When you see an SEC filing, and again, a merger SEC filing where it actually matters because now they're on the hook legally for this potential merger. When the filing comes out, that's a good thing to look at. But when the stock spikes in reaction to the SEC filing, now I'm even more interested. And you can see here my trade. I only made about $2,000, so it's not like the biggest thing for me. But remember, I'm jet lagged. I'm not looking to trade. I'm considering myself a retired trader. I realize that, you have these big one-day spikers on the OTC, but aside from like a little morning panic and a morning spike, I'm not trading too aggressively. But when I see my kind of catalyst, which is, SEC filing, and more importantly than just the SEC filing, the spike in reaction to the SEC filing. And going back to what I said, earlier, why do you need StocksToTrade Breaking News? Because you want to see the news in real time so that you can see the reaction in real time. I know that I'm getting a little nuanced here. People are like, shut up, Tim, just pick hot picks. Tell me how to find these stocks. It's not just about hot picks. It's not just about finding these stocks. FAGI was already on my watch list. It's about realizing which catalysts matter, which catalysts have legs. Okay? You can have a whole watch list of stocks that have already spiked a little bit, but most of the stock spikes don't have legs. This one did, and it's because of the merger, it's because of the promo, it's because of the price action, and it's kind of beautiful. And, I gave an all-day live webinar on Friday. This was, again, only a $2,000 profit for me, but I only had a small position. I'm making nearly 70%. You have to keep this in perspective, right? Like, 90% of traders lose. Most traders don't even make enough to make it worthwhile. $2,000 isn't the biggest thing in the grand scheme of things, but if you can learn to trade like this and make 70%, it doesn't matter whether you have a small position or a big position, your account is going to grow rather nicely. Most hedge funds, like the top performing hedge funds, just to help you understand how good this is, the top performing hedge funds don't make 70% over 2 or 3 years. We're making 70% in a day. And mind you, I sold a little, too early, and I'll talk about that in a second. So there actually was more upside, but I'll lock in, nearly 70% almost every single time. And that's what I did here. It's because I wasn't looking to trade, but a play forced me out of retirement. I saw it spiking on the SEC filing, and here we are. So, I should mention, if you look at the trade, I saw it spiking, but I didn't want to buy it at 2.4. A lot of people said, Tim, you saw the spike, why not buy it immediately? This is where it's good to have kind of a big picture idea too. So this was right when it spiked up to it didn't spike to 2.8 initially. It spiked to 2.4 right here. And it fell into this resistance here at 2.5-ish. So when I saw it spiking, you could go back and watch my whole all-day live webinar. You can see it goes to 2.4, and I'm like, nope. I see the news, I see the spike, but I'm not just going to buy it blindly, especially heading into midday, especially when I'm jet lagged. I don't want to buy right at resistance. Let's see if it can dip. Then, at least if it does get back to 2.4, then I have a profit instead of just breaking even. If it doesn't get back to 2.4, then I can cut losses. If it breaks above 2.4, then I have a solid gain. So I waited. And again, this is because I saw it immediately. I have a game plan. I've traded this kind of play many times before. So I dip bought it at 0.0192. So nearly a half a cent a share off the highs. I know a half a cent a share doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a big percentage drop off 2.4, 2.5. And I said I bought the dip off the big spike on the merger SEC filing. It spiked nicely, but got ahead of itself. We'll see if it can close strong goals to sell for 10, 20, 30%. So when I'm buying it on a dip off the highs, my only goal is, can it get back to those highs? And if it does get back to those highs, can it break those highs? I'm not saying it necessarily has to, but dip buying is very nice. So I saw it get down here to the 2s, and I was pretty happy to buy it on a dip. Again, my weekend newsletter, my weekend strategy has been like the best performing strategy for me as of late. It got back down to 2, and I was surprised that it went all the way up to 2.8. Some people said, why am I not, selling it immediately? It already hit my goals. Because I'm encouraged by the fact that it broke 2.4 and it went to 2.8. But I want to see how far it can go. I don't really want to buy, a weekend play midday and then sell midday. When a play does better than I think, especially with a small dollar position, I want to give it time. So I gave it time, and then I was actually even more pleasantly surprised that I got a second chance to add on the dip here at 2 cents. So remember, I'm in with a very small position at first, okay? That's the biggest thing here, where some people say, why are you buying? Why are you adding? Small positions are fine. And part of the reason why I took a small position, this wasn't even on purpose, it just dipped and bounced very quickly. So I only got a partial execution. Then I got to add to basically double up at around 2 cents a share. And then I was really pleasantly surprised. Those of you on the all-day webinar might have seen me before Bowen went live for a little bit. I didn't even have my software open. I'm like, I don't want to be tempted to trade. I don't want to be tempted to take profits. It was like 2.7, 2.8. And I wanted to give it time. I wanted to, see if it could close around 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, and then ideally break into the 3s on Monday. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it broke into the 3s. And at that point, I'm like, I got to sell some. This is like a 50% winner for me. If you look through my trades historically, 50% is above average for me. And I said, I've been trying to stay patient since this play is such a solid weekend setup, but I have to take some profits here. A 50% gain is too good. And then, again, I'm perfectly content to hold basically half my position over the weekend. But what happened? It goes up to 3.6. And I'm like, this is crazy. I got to take profits here. Because now, at 3.6, let me just do some math. Let me bring the calculator in. 0.036 minus 0.0192, which is when I initially got it. So this is not just a 70% win. This is literally an 88% win from my initial entry. That's near best case scenario for me. I don't have like 1,000% winners, 5,000% winners. A lot of people think that's what you need to get rich in penny stocks. For me, it's like hitting a lot of 10, 20, 30, 40% spikers. So 100% spiker is near best case. And again, some people are like, why are you selling? Give it over the weekend. Well, I didn't know that it was going to tank into the close. You know, it actually went a little higher after I sold, and I'm like, I don't care. This is near best case scenario. Really big tank into the close, and I'm really happy. That made me feel even better about my exits. Even though I was a little too early here in the threes, this sell at 3.6, this might have been, you know, one of the best sells that I've had in months. You just can't get too over aggressive. Mind you, this is all happening while the NASDAQ is dropping like nearly 2% on the day. At one point it was over 2%, and now we're in this downtrend. So I have perspective. This is one of the best trades for me. This is one of the best OTC runs, and it's in a kind of nasty overall market. So this is just a solid trade all around. And if I could kind of model future trades off this like $2,000 profit, I'm a very happy guy. And the key to the success of this trade is me not wanting to trade it. Like I started off the all-day webinars, like I don't see any great trades. I think it would be cool if I didn't trade at all. I ended up trading like 3 times during the day. This was by far the best trade. So not wanting to trade allows you to have patience to wait for the best play. Me kind of being forced to sell when like a 50% profit happens, and then me being forced to sell the remainder. Understand, I wasn't looking to trade. I wasn't looking to exit. The market made me do it. And this is because I know this pattern inside and out. And this is why I say like it's good to be a retired trader. I know, again, it's counterintuitive. Like, what are you talking about, Tim? You're not a retired trader. You trade almost every day. Correct. But because I have this little mindset tweak, it allows me to be more patient. Let me just bring up Jack Kellogg for a little bit. Jack has been one of the hottest traders, one of my top challenge students, pretty amazing. And he too has been kind of flirting with this retired trader mindset the past few weeks. You know, on February 1st, he says he didn't want to retire today. Like he comes out of retirement. And he actually did retire. He said, what an interesting week. I had my first day as a failed bond trader, started playing Call of Duty 10 hours a day. And I gave him crap for like playing video games. He's making joke, like I think he lost a few $100s where he's like trying to trade bonds. He's trying not to trade aggressively because, you know, if you look at Jack's trades, in the past 2 weeks, he's lost like $18,000. There just haven't been that many plays that fit his patterns. And there haven't been that many plays that fit my patterns lately as the NASDAQ tanks. We got off to a roaring start in 2023. You know, Jack has done very well. I've done very well. Jack, year to date, don't feel bad if he's lost 18 grand because he's still up over 1.6 million year to date. This is why I love trading. So many people say like, oh, Tim, I haven't had a winning trade in like a week or two or a month or two, and you get down on yourselves. Or maybe you're trading with a small account and you're like, this isn't even worth it. Understand, Jack was a valet a few years ago. He just parked people's cars. Can we actually insert the photo of him failing to park my car properly in Positano? And video. So he's like, he's not that great of a valet anymore. We went to Italy one summer and I was like, here you go, park the car, this is what you do. And he like crashed it into the side and you can see that. So I'm glad that he's a better trader now than valet. We're filming this too, so I'll post this eventually on multiple websites. But you need to have proper perspective. Jack studied all my DVDs, all my video lessons, all the webinars while he was a valet, while he also tried his hand at several other jobs. He invested in his future. He invested in the, video lessons. He took it seriously. And so when you say, oh, look at this, trading is so tough, even Jack has lost $18,000. Some days, some weeks, you're going to have some downside. And he lost, 18 grand, which for him is not that big because you have to keep everything in perspective. He made $1.6 million now in 2 months. He's over 12 million total. So you will have some down streaks. You will have some downtime. But the whole goal is, can you be ready for solid trades. FAGI is my kind of a solid trade. It's not necessarily everybody else's solid trade. I always tell Jack to like come back to the OTCs. He's like, no, you can only make, 5 or 10 grand in a day, which for him is small. But I know for 99.9% of you, you would love to make 5 or 10 grand in a day, or even 500 or 1,000 in a day. So you got to start small. You got to be patient. Understand this is the upside, okay? Trading gains can grow exponentially, even if you have a small account. Jack has done all of this in the last 5 or 6 years since he joined my challenge. He's now, making much more than me. He's very aggressive, but even he has some down weeks, down days, and he retires and plays Call of Duty for a little bit. So long story short, trading is awesome, okay? You can really make some serious gains if you have the right strategy, if you have the right mindset, if you know your patterns inside and out. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to be my next millionaire and probably won't make $12 million like Jack or, nearly 15 million like Tim Grittani, but and you do have 30 plus millionaire students now. You can click a link below. I'll post a link to my challenge. This is where all my top students are. Why? What's so special about the challenge? Well, it's a separate chat room. They have access to all my DVDs, video lessons, and webinars. Tim Grittani has given 70 webinars, in case you didn't realize that, only for challenge students. Jack, Michael Good, Mark Crook, Roland Wolf, Jack Schwartz, Kyle Williams, they're all giving webinars too. It's all archived, and there's some new live ones too. I do all day live webinars every now and then. Whether you want to trade aggressively, like Jack, or whether you want to trade like a coward, like I do, there are opportunities if you know where to look. And that's why, going back to this, just rounding out this whole video, use StocksToTrade Breaking News. Don't trade every single piece of breaking news, but look at what the catalysts are. Add these stocks that not only have catalysts, but also are spiking on the catalyst. If you look at a lot of StocksToTrade Breaking News plays, they're alerting like 100, 200 plays a day. But most of those plays, even if they do have a seemingly good catalyst, the stock doesn't budge. So for me, I need the catalyst plus the price action. And then I see, when it has legs, and again, I don't chase. What really worked well for me on this play was me not wanting to trade, me having patience and waiting for the dips. If I had initially bought this at 2.4 here, okay, break out to 2.8, and so maybe I could have sold some here. But if I had bought it at 2.4 and it was dipping here and failing at 2.4 down to 2, I would probably cut losses, because then I would be like, oh, 3-day resistance is holding, 2.4, 2.5 is probably the top. And if I was in at 2.4, 2.5, I would be in on the top. And when it dropped to 2, I would be like, the stock sucks. Instead, by entering on the dip, it allowed me to give it more time. And this is what's so important, because if you give these plays more time, especially when they're the right plays or they have the really good, solid pattern, the more time you give it, the more money you can make. Very rarely do I ever make 50, 60, 70, 80% on these trades, because I usually am in and out inside of a few minutes, inside of an hour, because I'm just going for like the quick speculative morning panic dip buy, or like a quick speculative morning spike. On this one, I really, really played it well, which was helped by my all-day webinar. When I have an all-day webinar, I want to teach good lessons. It's not just whether I make 2K or 1K. Remember, I donate all my trading profits to charity. It doesn't matter whether I made money or lost money, but I want to show you the process. And every now and then I do these all-day live webinars so that you can see the whole process. And I could not have asked for a better trade than FAGI. So if you did, tune into the webinar, watch it again. We posted it on Profitly. You can see here, it's in several parts. We lost some Wi-Fi. We didn't have the best, setup, but it was me and Bryce. And we're going over everything for hours. And it's beautiful. There won't always be a perfect play like FAGI. I still look forward to the day when I do an all-day live webinar and I don't trade at all. I still think that's useful, because it would show you why I'm being disciplined, why I'm being patient, why I'm being a retired trader. And Jack Kellogg is just one of many traders who have sensed that the market has shifted the past few weeks. So he's sizing down, he's trading less. Same thing with me. But I'm still ready to strike when I see a solid play. And we'll see what FAGI does next week. I like this big dip, from basically 3.8 down to like the 2.4s. If it can drop again on Monday morning, maybe to 2 again, I might even dip by it for a bounce from 2. And then I think probably, this resistance at 2.4, 2.5 might hold. I don't know. We'll see if it has another morning panic. I'm not saying I have to trade it. I'm just aware. Anytime you have a multi-day spiker, I'll consider, trading it, and I'll consider, dip buying it too. Just don't chase, okay? This is not the market for chasing. I don't care how many plays spike without me. I don't feel guilty missing it. I want to wait for the right setups. And this was, truly a beautiful setup. And I'm really happy with how I played it. Just locking in solid gains. So again, leave a comment below if you're going to use Stocks to Trade Breaking News, if you already do. If you don't, give me an excuse. Tell me why you're not using it, because I really think that you're hurting your education by not seeing these catalysts in real time. Even if you're not trading, you should start to learn, and that way you can get better prepared in the future. Thank you. I'll see you in chat on Monday.